Hello everybody, and welcome to Astro Vlog number 3. This should be Astro Vlog number 4. However, I recorded one about a month or two ago, and half of the video got corrupted, so this is going to be Astro Vlog number 3. I know that it has been a couple months, damn near like a year, I think, since the last Astro Vlog, but for this one, I wanted to go over my star tracker, how I use it, and give you guys a little bit of a tutorial in case you're using the same setup I have, or in case you're looking into the setup that I have and if you want to buy it yourself. Tonight I'm going to Barnegat, New Jersey. I'm not going to the lighthouse, but I may wind up there. I'm going a little bit back, a few streets back, to some fences and benches that are there that are kind of in the sand. I've seen some other local New Jersey photographers get pictures at this similar location, but I want to try it myself and I want to bust out the star tracker because I haven't been able to take Milky Way shots in like 2 months, so I'm itching to get out. Well, enough talking. I'll see you guys there. Okay, everybody, we just got to Barnegat. I just need to keep my voice down a little bit since I'm right next to somebody's house. It's just where I need to park. So I'm gonna grab all my stuff, and next time you'll see me, we'll be on the beach. So in a situation like this, where I've never been to the spot before, I just like to walk around. I'm not really too worried about my night vision right now, so I'm just using regular lights. Once I actually get my spot, then I'm gonna switch. But I'm liking how these fences look, and then leading out there, but I think the Milky Way is going to be out that way. So let me open photo pills and see what's going on. Okay, I kind of like this composition right here. I have that bench over there, I got my stuff on it. I have these, what once was a fence post. You can see a little bit of fence right there. But then to line up the Milky Way core right there, I can see, I think part of Scorpio, you can. So yeah, let's get all this set up. So you're gonna need to ignore 1, my hair, 2, all of the weird angles and lighting that I'm gonna be using for this vlog, because there's not much for me to work with here. So let me grab my star tracker. Okay, so in this big Apache case from Harbor Freight, shout out Harbor Freight, I have my star tracker. I'm going to get a little bit closer so maybe the audio is a little bit better. So forget the exact name, but I have the Skywatcher Star Adventurer 2i Pro. I do not have the GTI. That is like the more advanced version, more expensive version. I don't do that. So this is my box. I don't know how well you can see it, but I have all of my star tracker components in here. It keeps it nice and safe. I highly recommend doing that because it just comes with just a cardboard box, and I don't know how you would pack that away the second time. So the big thing that I would highly recommend is upgrading your tripod if you don't have a really good one already. I like to cheap out on just about every single aspect of my life, especially when it comes to photography, because it's very easy to spend a lot of money. However, one thing that I will recommend, get a good tripod. This is a Manfrotto 290 Extra. It's made in Italy, it's very fancy. It comes with a 3-axis head, which is very nice for other aspects of photography, but I take it off for the star tracker. So a little thing about how I personally like to set up my star tracker is I always like to set up where I'm going to track the core near where my composition is. Now, you can use the tracked foreground, but it's going to be all blurry, and the stars are going to be sharp. That's the goal. What I like to do is I like to set it up right near my composition. So for this, I'm just a little bit in front of, I'll show you in a different angle, playing right now, and I'm still like close enough where when I bring it into Photoshop in order to blend it, I will not have too much of a difficulty blending the track sky and the foreground that I'm going to take afterwards. So this isn't going to be a super in-depth tutorial on how exactly to use this, but I'm going to be using my beginner knowledge in order to explain this, in order to give you a real opinion on this star tracker. So I have my tripod here. It comes with this mounting plate that you need to point north, which is that way. Core is that way. I'm looking at the Big Dipper. You probably can't see it. This is the actual star tracker here. These are all my modes. This is just the lens cap. That's what we're going to be looking through. And then over here, it's got a little cap on it right now, but this section is where my camera's going to go, and that's going to point that way. Another thing that you should invest in, and you can't really cheap out on this, and you 100% need it, ooh, there goes my head, is power bank. This power bank is what's going to connect to the star tracker and my camera in order to power these both while this is happening. So I got this from Best Buy. It's an Insignia. It goes to this port right there, and it connects to USB. That connects into my power bank into there, so I don't need to use the, I think it's AA or AAA that's in this. Right, we have the power bank now hooked up to here. Also little dials. We have north and south hemisphere, or northern and southern. We're in Jersey, so that switch is flipped to north. Now this is going to illuminate the polar scope, which is this bad boy right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little plastic bit off, put it in the bag, and this I'm going to put right in here. If it wants to go in, there we go. And that right there, that little clear thing, illuminates and helps me see what's out there. Okay, so important thing is when you're getting this all set up, make sure to point this towards north, push it into the ground if you're in sand or whatever, and then put that on top. Very important. Also, we have some knobs and another knob and another knob. This one needs to be tight. That holds on the star tracker. Remove this bag out of the way so I don't kick sand in it. This knob is going to be very important. So we have yet another knob over here. That just loosens things. So let's loosen it real quick. We'll tighten that at the end. And this is so we can set our longitude and latitude. So since we are in Jersey, I need to put it to about 39, if the camera will let me zoom in. 39. So I'm just gonna put it right there, just for now. I'll come back to it. So again, we're just pointing it in the general direction for now. Making sure I have my camera, I have my dummy battery, and my battery pack, just very important to check everything. I have the right lens on, very important. Got Rish's camera, shout out Rishab, follow him. Got everything else ready to polar align. I have it on the screen right now, but this app is what you're gonna need in order to polar align the star tracker. It's not the best app in the world, but that's fine because we only need one button, which is that polar utility one. So we can go ahead and take off the cap right now. Again, we'll sit this guy right there. Here's what we'll do now. Turn this to max, shut off this light, and now you can see that little red light is going. And let's see how well you can see. All right, this is probably the best I'm gonna get, but that's what you're gonna be looking at So we're gonna need to turn those numbers so that they make sense to a clock, so that 0 will be on the bottom so that we can get it properly polar aligned. And you see that circle that's there, that blue dot that was in that picture is gonna need to be the North Star, which we'll put right there on the polar scope. So this is by far the tedious and stupidest step, but it's the most important. So we'll need to loosen this ring that's on here in order to turn the dial so that we can get 0 on the bottom. I want to take back everything I just said. 0 on the top, 3 to the right, 6 on the bottom, 9 to the left. Again, 0 on the top. Now these little knobs on the side that I showed you earlier, that's to make very small adjustments to the left and to the right so that you can get the North Star properly into the polar scope. Just needed to do a quick check to make sure I'm not the dumbest person in the world aiming at the wrong star, because I'm having a very hard time finding the North Star from where I'm at. Something that I've been asked before is, how do I tell which star is the North Star? I really don't. The best way that you can tell which star is the North Star, look for the brightest one. That's the only really thing I can tell you. Aim your star tracker close, look at it from right up above to right to the side, to the left, all over. Make sure you're pointing in the direction of the North Star. Look into the little eyepiece, and the brightest star will probably be the North Star Polaris. Whew. That took a minute, but I think I got it. So what I was talking about earlier, these little knobs right there control your left and right, and this little knob controls your up and down. It's the most tedious thing in the world, but it's super important to get this very, very, very close so that your polar alignment and tracking will be as smooth as possible. So now we can turn this light off and start rigging up the camera. Another handy bit of gear that I never leave home without, my intervalometer. Oh, sorry, my phone is like in a weird angle. My intervalometer. This is my ball head that I'm gonna be placing on the tripod, or on Star Tracker rather. I got this separately. This is an O-Ben. It comes with like a little plate that I put on the bottom of the camera. My dummy battery's in. I'll leave a link to the dummy battery as well as the battery pack down in the description, so you guys can see exactly what I'm running. I'm running a Sony a6500 with a Sigma 16mm. So my camera could be different than yours, probably is, but just to give you guys an idea. I'm gonna plug in my camera to the dummy battery, just so or to the battery pack, just so it's out of the way, so I don't have the USB cord dragging through the sand. Would have probably done this over at the bench. It's a little sketchy. Okay, that's on there. All right, I'm gonna give myself plenty of room so the Star Tracker can move. Let me grab you real quick. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this camera here so that I can then tilt it and face it that way towards the Milky Way. This will continue to face north towards the North Star. The camera is now on, and the little ball head is now pointed south, and the Star Tracker is still pointed north. So this will counter-rotate the Earth's rotation, making the Milky Way nice and sharp. Foreground blurry, we won't worry about that. I'm gonna turn my intervalometer on. I'm gonna turn my camera on. However, I also need to turn my power bank on. I'm not gonna turn on the Star Tracker just yet, still on off. I'm gonna need to switch it to that star, just so it's not spinning while I'm still trying to get stuff set up. So I'm gonna tilt my screen out a little bit. Let me change my screen brightness so I don't go blind. And now I'm just gonna need to fiddle around with my settings to see what's gonna be the most clear. I usually run a little bit less than open. I'm gonna put it all the way to bulb because I'm going to be using my intervalometer. And my ISO, I usually bump up to either 1600 or 2000. Tonight, I'm going to test out 1600 first, then I'll probably bump it up. Okay, my intervalometer is going to be set to 1.5 minutes. That's what I usually shoot. I'm going to focus my camera, and I'm okay for the stars to blur right now just because I'm just trying to see how bright everything's going to be. I need to make sure everything's in focus. Then I'll turn the star tracker on to make sure my stars are moving and we're doing what I need to do. Focus is set. Let me turn the lantern off. Intervalometer is ready to go. Let's take a test shot. While the camera's going, I'm just going to take the opportunity to say, make sure everything is tight. Double check that everything is tight when you do this, because I've left little components loose. As you saw, there's a bunch of little knobs and stuff that you need to be screwing all the time to move the star tracker. Double check everything is tight before you start tracking, because I've tracked before and halfway through my camera just goes plop and falls because I didn't check. Stuff could get knocked out of alignment. Just please double check every single thing from what's attached to the camera, to the star tracker, to your tripod legs, everything. That first test went horribly. The whole thing was blown out because we're dealing with some haze, smoke. It's a little humid, but the Canadian wildfires are passing through here right now. Just briefly, they're more up north right now. The worst of it is hopefully past us, but it doesn't mean that those clouds aren't gonna be here, because this is Barnegat and that's what happens here. Also, that's a lighthouse. Second test, I'm a little low. Milky Way is right up there. I may be a little bit bright, at least it looks like it, until I look at the histogram. I'm perfectly balanced. Just for some reason, my screen makes everything so damn bright. Okay, test number 3. Third try was the charm. Well, it doesn't want to focus. Okay, you can kind of see it right there. You probably can't hear me because of the wind, but because that worked, we're going to turn the star tracker on. Now it should be rotating. You probably won't be able to tell, because I can't either, but it's going to be moving very, very slowly. There's only one way to know if it actually is working. It's to turn it back on, see if there's any trails. Super bright image, but you see that? No trails, good to go. So one thing that I wanted to bring up is that, let's say you're like me and you have the star tracker going. However, I just got back one of my shots and I was like, ooh, I wish that it was just a little bit higher. You can move the camera while the tracker is on and spinning. Just try not to do it a lot because you could kick stuff out of alignment. Be very gentle when you do it. And again, make sure that everything is tight when you finish. I now have a second camera, which is Rishab's camera, pointed at the star tracker camera to do one of those cool like turning time lapses. I don't know how it's going to work out. The skies are just getting worse. There's clouds coming in. I'm not super hopeful about tonight, but hey, I'm having a nice time. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. So after a 45-minute to an hour nap on that bench that I wasn't expecting, we're back. And I'm packing up my one time-lapse camera that I had looking at the star tracker. I'm then going to start packing up my star tracker so that I can put my camera back onto my tripod so that I can get my foreground composition. I'll try my best to show you guys, but the sky is unbelievable right now. It's humid down here, but up top it's so crispy. Here is the composition I'm looking at. Got my camera right there. I got a lantern off to the left because I want to position the Milky Way right in the center of this shot, basically where it was when I saw this composition. So let me bring that back up so you can see what I'm talking about. If I have the Milky Way, it's off to the right now, but I'm going to push it over to here. If I have something going on in the left-hand corner, that's just going to be something else for whoever's looking at this to look at and go, oh, okay, where are we? And to have their eyes travel throughout the scene. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed Astro Vlog number 3. I decided that I would show you guys just how I do my star tracker to give you all a little background as to how I do my process, and maybe if you're interested in the same process, because I never used to use a star tracker, and now that I do, it's like there's no switching back. You know, I've done shoots without one and I get my information back and I'm trying to edit it, and it's not the same. The amount of detail that the star tracker is able to pull out is unbelievable. It's so crazy every single time. Well, I really hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe if you want to, and I really hope I don't take super duper long to get this video out, but you never know. I hope you all have a great day or night, depending on when you watch this, and just remember, turn off those lights if you really don't need them. Take care.